He was an army veteran. I used to ask him during the few brief visits when I was younger what he saw. He told me that I was too young to wait until I was older, and so I did. By the time I was of age, he was old and weak. "Do you scare easy?" he asked me, as his aged body fought cancer as hard as he fought in the war. I was only supposed to bring him his soup. He lay in bed and I stood nervously in the threshold of his door. The only light was that of the hallway leaking into the otherwise darkened room. I shook my head. "Blood flows," he started before coughing. He dabbed his lips with his handkerchief and studied the flecks of blood, as if counting to see if there were more than last time. A biological countdown for his body and his disease. "In the dark, when there's no light to see, there's nothing to distinguish it from water." He pulled himself upright and beckoned me closer. "You may think of it as a tap somebody has left running. It bothers you when it starts to drench you, and then you smell it. A metallic odor you taste. It makes your teeth hurt. The smell repulses you. You forget you're covered in it. And then the tap is turned off and the sound stops. It's only then that you realize it wasn't water." He coughed again. "Blood is like glue. It's sticky and it sets, as if it wants to cling to you for dear life, trying to find its way back inside, where it belongs, but it isn't your blood. No amount of showering will remove it. It stays as a reminder of whose it once was. It becomes a part of you. You have to embrace that, and if you don't, it will only consume you." He stopped as abruptly as he had started. "Did that happen to you in the war?" He smiled, erupting into a coughing fit of laughter, before again dabbing his mouth. "History has a horrible penchant for repeating itself." He stared at me, ignoring the soup that grew cold on the tray in front of me. "I'm going to die soon, Jack," he said sincerely. It was as if his eyes welled up, but it could have been a trick of the light. "I have something for you." "What is it, Granddad?" "Something important. I cannot give it to you. It will only be yours when the time is right. You'll know when." I didn't respond. "I think the soup is getting cold," he said, while giving me a wry smile. "Oh, sorry, Granddad." Gingerly, I approached and I placed it in front of him. "Tomato. How apt," he said, and he began to sip. Mother spoke to Granddad every day on the phone. The nurses cared for him during the day, and then the phone call stopped and I knew what it meant. Mother and Father changed. They knew it was coming. Though nothing prepares you for when a family member dies, it doesn't matter if you expected it. I was old enough to be told straight, they said. I was a man now. He went in his sleep, and that's all any of us could ever ask for. Father returned home that day late in the evening with 2 books. He sat me down at the table and slid one over to me. "To Jack with love" was written in script on the front. It was a yellow book, its cover dog-eared and dirty from many years of use. The other, for my son, an apology. We looked down at them in silence. My granddad was a man of few words. He kept to himself, so to see such tone sitting between us was a shock. "Do you know anything about this?" my dad asked. I shook my head, and as I did, I remembered what Granddad said to me, that he had something for me when the time was right. "I didn't get on with your granddad, you know that, right?" I did. "You don't have to read it if you don't want to. I would completely understand." I picked up the book and I left the dining table without a word spoken. "Hey Jack," Father said, "have you taken your pills?" "I haven't." "Do it now, before you forget." I opened the cupboard and took 2 out of the packet and crunched them in my mouth. Father gave me a disapproving look. I retreated to my room and I sat on my bed, and I opened the book. July 3rd, 2001. "Welcome to the family, Jack. I'm sorry I cannot be there with you, but I am in spirit." Reading it gave me chills. That was the day that I was born. It was ominous, as if he had written it for me to read after his death. "I hope you don't turn out like your father. No disrespect, we are just different people." There were some more entries, each for my birthdays up until when I was 7. They told me how proud he was of me. He had seen photos. I was growing up to be a handsome boy. July 3rd, 2008. "It was wonderful to see you today. I'm very grateful your father afforded it of me. You asked me about the war. I couldn't tell you. Your father was listening. I hope this isn't too late. War is everything, and it is nothing. I believe it made me who I am today, or at least accelerated it. I wasn't always a bad man. I've killed many people, some by choice and some out of necessity. When it's you or them, you can forgive yourself. It's the ones that I've chosen that have haunted me. Did I have to do it? Probably not. Would I do it again? I think I would." There is a photo attached to this page. A black and white image of a younger man. I assumed was my granddad in fatigues, holding a gun, standing next to a dead body. There is a smirk on his face. I studied this and I couldn't tell if it was excitement or fear. July 3rd, 2011. "Your father told me what happened today. I'm not shocked, to be honest. Kids do stupid things. He said that he was proud of the way that you dealt with it, as much as he could be. He blames me, you know. He thinks that I've been talking to you. I found that very funny. It was inevitable. It was written in the stars. I wish I could help you. I'll make sure I can, one day." That was my 10th birthday. I had no clue what he was referring to. He must have been mistaken. I tried to remember, but it wouldn't come back to me. I made a mental note to ask Father. March 30th, 2012. "You're getting older, Jack. It's important that you exercise. I hope you do. I made your father at your age. I would watch him out of the back window, run around the yard. 50 laps a day, rain or shine. It was important that he was prepared physically. 50 sit-ups before breakfast is a good start, and then 50 squats and 50 push-ups. It gets easy real quick. If you haven't started, do that. It was strange. I wasn't sure if he was writing these entries for me then or now. I looked down at my scrawny arms and slight gut. He was right. I needed to exercise. December 1st, 2014. I made a mistake today, Jack. I had to call your father. I'm not as strong as I once was. I overstepped my boundaries. It's easy to do. It was my own hubris. Your father's a good kid. He'll always be there for you, whatever you do. I can promise you that. Preparation is key. If you are prepared, your actions are guaranteed. The next few entries were sprawled out over the next few years and didn't address me directly. It was as if they were written for someone else. The most interesting one was this. October 31st, 2017. Thank you for visiting me, George. You are always fun. I'm surprised you didn't remember why I had been mad at you for so many years. Bygones be bygones and whatnot. I appreciate you visiting. You can stay as long as you want. I know you will. I wondered if Granddad had forgot this book was for me and was meant to write this somewhere else. My reading was interrupted by arguing from downstairs. I snuck out of my bedroom to listen. What the hell? My mother screamed. Keep your voice down. My dad responded. We need to do something about it now. Let me think. What the hell do you have to think about? It's already happened. There's no reason to panic. If that's what was in your book, what was in the one that you gave to Jack? It'll be fine. I'm going to call the police. Don't. Give me some space. The arguing abated. I returned to my room and I flicked forward in the book, stopping on an entry from last week. The following pages were blank. November 14th, 2019. Jack, I'm going to die soon. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. It was nice of your father to allow it. I hope I make it. I wonder what type of man you'll become, whether you'll take after me or your father. It's important to remember that he is a forgiving man. He forgave me for who I was then and for who I am now. You can tell him anything. If you want to know who you are, I have something for you in my house. If it's not too late. I've been preparing for this. I waited until I didn't hear my parents anymore. I crept downstairs, seeing my father sleep in his armchair. Mother was nowhere to be seen. Dad? I asked him quietly. He stirred. What happened on my 10th birthday? Father was barely awake. No, he said, scrunching his face up. Please, tell me, I need to know. He snorted heavily, his head bucking from side to side, as if caught in a nightmare. You, Dad, you. Tears began to run down his cheeks. He was your brother. A cold sweat chilled me. I didn't want to know anymore. I ran out of the house and ran faster than my legs could keep me. Simon. The name shouted itself to me in my head. I had no idea who that was, but something inside did, and it was crying out to be heard. I felt a nausea rise up in me, and it pushed the thoughts away. I arrived at my granddad's house. It was now still and dark within. I searched around the plant pots looking for a spare key. It was where it always was. I opened the front door and I rushed upstairs to his room. His bed was made and Granddad was in there. I searched his drawers and cupboards for something that he would have left for me. He had opened something from within that was long since dormant, and now I needed answers. There was none. I felt panic. I left his bedroom and I stood on the landing, and I saw it. A piece of paper stuck to the bathroom door. Jack. With trepidation, I opened it and entered. On the laundry basket was a single red towel. On top, another note. Blood flows like water. I guess he wanted me to take a shower. Without thought, I undressed and I got in, pulling the shower curtain around. The water was ice cold. I closed my eyes and shivered, waiting for it to heat up. As it gradually did, I began to relax. I felt the warm water soothe my skin and resolve my panic. And then I smelt it. A metallic odor that made my teeth hurt. I opened my eyes to see my body covered in red liquid. I wanted to scream, but something inside called me, told me that everything would be fine. I let the liquid run through my hair, down my face and onto my chest. For the first time in a while, I felt as if I was being true to me. I stayed underneath until the shower ran dry, and then I looked down at myself, at the liquid that grabbed at my skin and refused to leave me. With my eyes open on the mirror in the shower cubicle and the condensation was a message. Jack, is this the real you? I pulled back the curtain, I picked up the towel and I began to dry myself. When I stood outside in the cold, I ran my hand through my hair. A waft of copper rose up. I would need to wash myself again. I returned home and I went straight to bed. In the morning, I sat with my parents and I ate breakfast. There's something that I need to tell you about your granddad. The police. My father trailed off. I think I know, I replied. He didn't appear shocked. A look of resignation flickered over his face. Don't forget to take your pills, my mom offered as she washed up. I waited for her to leave before I spoke. I know why you give me those. I don't want any more. Granddad said that you would understand. He let out a large sigh and he nodded his head. Finish your breakfast. You'll be late for school. I don't think I can go today, I said, and he didn't argue. He got up and he left the room. Every breath I took, I could smell copper. It got right up in my nose. I showered for so long that morning too. Father returned moments later with a small pocketbook. Before I give this to you, I need a promise, just like the promise that I made to my father. I nodded. You follow what's within this book to the letter. You deviate an inch and I'll freaking kill you. Do you understand? I had never heard him speak like that before. I understood. He placed it on the table in front of me, and Mother returned. She looked at the book and then to my father, and then to me, her face white as a ghost. What the hell are you doing? She said to my father, "It's time." "He's only 18. Father said that he was, and I cannot disobey him. "He's dead." "He's not," Father said, running his hand through my hair and then sniffing it. I looked down at the book. The rules. The book was yellow and dog-eared from years of use. "That was mine, and now it's yours," Father said to me. I opened and I turned to the first page. Rule number 1. Never kill a family member.